Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean. Bugsy's just in front, leading the charge. As she always is. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things that you love, with those that you love doing them with. Please do me a favour, guys, like you always do. Smash the like button for me on the video. Smash the subscribe if you haven't already. Closing in on 7K, which is awesome. Hit the notification bell whilst you're there. And drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on last night. Guys, let's get going. 2-2 it finished last night. A game of two halves. Second half FC pretty much summarises it. You know, Manchester United fans, I see on Twitter, thought that they could have been 4-0 up at half-time if they took all their chances. But, you know, at the same time, I think you could make the argument that Tottenham were very wasteful. We created a couple of opportunities that should have done a lot better, should have tested and challenged the keeper. But we go in 2-0 down, which I think was probably a somewhat fair reflection. Maybe 1-0 down, a one-goal deficit would have been just a reward for a pretty dominant first half that Manchester United put onto us. And Tottenham didn't really come out of the traps firing. It was difficult for me to... We had sort of disruption watching the game on the Irish Hotspur. We then had to pivot to my channel to watch the second half. So I appreciate all of you for switching over in the moment, who did. And look, I don't know what goes on at Tottenham, why it is that, you know, our first half performances are so weak and listless, and then the second half we come out and play like a different team. Why can't we do it? It's the question of the season. Why can't we do it for 90 minutes? I don't understand it. I didn't think Manchester United were very good last night. I didn't think Tottenham were great either. I thought it was, I know, a battle of two teams that, you know, it almost felt like a dead rubber game when it had so much more on the line than it really felt like it did, at least the way I was watching. Second half we come out though, we play a far higher line. We're still going to be vulnerable. I did actually appreciate Ryan Mason going back to the 3-4-3, having Clement Longley back in the team allowed for that to be a little bit more composed, although I didn't think he had the best game. 3-4-3, similar to what we were playing under Conte and Stellini, except the big difference was far higher up the pitch, far higher line. And with that, you hope to be able to control the ball, you know, pressure the other team in their own half, create more opportunities in the right end of the pitch. But the compromise is that you're leaving yourself cut open or vulnerable to being cut open in the transition. And that kind of happened for the first two goals. Jadon Sancho receiving the ball from, I think it was Fernandes, on the counter. Tottenham backing off. And then, you know, a couple of touches where he basically walked past Pedro Porro and Romero and then put a delicious ball into the bottom corner. I don't really blame Fraser Foster. I'm not sure if he was blindsided a little bit by the Tottenham defenders, but either way, it was a fantastic finish, low into the side of the goal. So I'm not entirely sure. Fraser could have done better. I do think that the two defenders, Porro and Romero, could have done and should have prepared a bit better for a block and stopped him getting into the dangerous position. For the second goal, that was just a pure, you know, a high-line counter-attack that left one of the fastest players in the Premier League against one of the kind of slowest, most error-prone defenders. And it was, you know, a man against a boy, so to speak. Eric Dyer has this habit of stepping off and stepping off and stepping off. I guess because he thinks that his step in, step up would be too slow, predictable and easy to go round. And I guess his mindset is to try and slow the approach from the player who has the ball to allow other players to get back, which has some merit to it if there's other players around and there's enough time to do it. But in that one-on-one situation, it's easy to sit here and criticise Eric Dyer, but I just think that he is too slow, it's too large a turning circle, and didn't really have much choice. But that is the consequence of playing the high line. You are going to be vulnerable. And I don't mind being vulnerable. Obviously, it'd be much better if we had faster, more competent defenders who could get back and make those last-ditch tackles, like a Virgil van Dijk of last season. You know, that sort of calibre of player would allow you to play the high line with more confidence, knowing that when you are vulnerable, you're not always going to concede. But we don't have the squad for that yet, and hopefully in the summer we'll fix that. Time will tell. Second half, we come out though, dominate the game in our own version, have lots of opportunities. Harry Kane, showed us all why he is so indispensable to us with his second half performance. I do want to spend a couple of seconds saying that apart from the first goal, I thought Romero was brilliant last night. I thought he was re-establishing himself, reminding people of the calibre and the capabilities that this guy has. And it was night and day from his performance against Newcastle, where he looked like he didn't care. Last night, it looked like he cared a lot. And not only was he doing wonderful things at the back, making good clearance headers, last-ditch blocks, decent interceptions and aerial duels and ground duels that he came out on top of against a very competent Man United attack. But he also was marauding forward, getting himself into positions with the ball, connecting well with Porro, and in the second half, Decky showed us that he is, capable and when given the opportunity can offer things, I think, going forward. And I think that is, again, a symptom of playing a slightly different tweaked system with a higher line that allowed for those possibilities and opportunities and showed us what he can do with the ball. So wonderful to see. I still don't forgive him for the Newcastle performance. He needs to put in a couple more shifts like that to really get my confidence back in him. But it was a great thing to see. I thought Perisic down the left-hand side was excellent with the ball, especially in the second half. But even in the first half, I thought he was very, very good. Gave Wan-Bissaka an absolutely torrid evening. Wan-Bissaka, who is not known for his offensive threat, but very much a good representation of a defensive fullback. And Perisic tore him open with the cadence of Perisic's step-overs. You never really know. He doesn't change speed very often, but you never really know with his step-overs which way he's going to go, left or right. And he does have the capability of kicking it past and going to the byline or pulling it back in. Something that we don't see enough of from Decky on the other side. I thought Sonny was much more involved in the second half. Took his finish for the goal brilliantly. Actually, I say that. I don't know if I remember or not, but was it a miss-hit? Either way, it went in, so congratulations to him. Good to see him smiling. He did miss one earlier in the game that that should have been put away. Eric Dyer with the header in the 80th minute, was it, or the 75th minute? That should have been the equaliser. A free header. He gets up strong. I think he almost put too much into the throwing his head forward. I feel like a pigeon doing that. That misses the goal. And talking about pigeons, listen, I know that I don't want to upset some of you guys who are like massive fans of this guy, but someone explain to me what it is that you see in him. Because I think that Richarlison is, I don't get it. I do not get what value he brings. He overcomplicates things. He fell over 7-8 times trying to play the target man, but he doesn't have the first touch. I don't think he's particularly good in the air. He's okay in the air, but he's not great. Falls over every time, tries to be too clever, doing nutmegs and things. Just get back to basics, mate. I don't understand it. I'm not singling him out at all because, I thought Højbjerg was rubbish on the day. I thought, as I say, Dyer had another bad day, but come to expect that. Longley, fresh back from injury, didn't think he was particularly great. But having him back, I think, gave us a little bit more confidence with the balance in the team. And Pedro Porro, look, what a goal from him. I think I was having this conversation with Jack last night. I don't know where his best position is. Right now, he still hasn't shown a single iota of defensive capabilities for me. He gets involved. He wants to. He's very passionate, and I love the passion that he provides and demonstrates. When he scored the goal, trying to up the crowd. I love that stuff. And look, going forward, he's a real threat. His crosses are very dangerous, whipped in with pace and accuracy, and he's obviously going to chip in with a goal here and there, which I think is fantastic. But where does he fit in to a system that's 4-2-3-1? Is he going to have to compete with Decky for the right wing slot? next season? Because I don't think he can play right back. I think people, I always said this about Emerson Royale. He might not be great going forward, and we all know he's good defensively, but aerially at the back post, he was always superb. He wins 95% of his aerial duels when the ball is getting whipped in from the opposition right to the left, to the back post. He was always superb. I don't think I've seen Pedro Porro win a single header. And I think that very soon teams are going to recognise that is an easy angle with the ball in deep, from the right to the left, and put someone tall up against him. And I think that he'll get exposed even more. So he either needs to, grow 6 inches or first and foremost, learn how to defend in the summer properly if we're going to have a manager who wants to play a back four next season. On that front, I see this morning, David Ornstein is saying, he said on a podcast last night that Tottenham are in talks. We are talking right now with Julian Nagelsmann. So maybe, just maybe, as I said yesterday, the conversation that Ralf Rangnick has had on Sky Sports, where he alluded to the idea that he's actually recommended and spoken to Julian Nagelsmann and said Tottenham is a very exciting place to take over. Maybe there's truth to it, and maybe he's having some influence with his former mentee, his former student, shall we say. That would be exciting, wouldn't it, to have him in? But then we have to think about what sort of formation is Julian Nagelsmann going to play. And as I said before, he has a history of playing different styles. When he was at Leipzig, he played with a back four at times. When he was at and a back three when he was at Bayern Munich, it was almost like a 3-1-5-1 system, with the right back kind of sitting in and the left back flying up as more of a left wing forward. I think he's got tactical diversity and and creativity and innovative solutions for whatever he's working with. So for me, as I said before, Julian Nagelsmann is always my number one. And I don't necessarily want to criticise Ryan Mason. I thought he did a very good job last night. Congratulations to him. Didn't let us down. He came out with the traditional formation, but with a new twist to it, with the higher line. Well done. But any calls for him to be made a permanent manager, he himself said in the press conference that he thinks he's ready. He wants to put his name in the hat, so to speak, over these next 5 games and see if he can, make an impression, make a mark, and hope that Tottenham take a risk. For me personally, as much as I like the guy and as much as I think he's probably going to be a great manager one day, I don't think he can earn his stripes taking over a club as large as Tottenham. No one else does. Frank Lampard didn't. Steven Gerrard didn't. Everyone goes and starts off. Vincent Kompany. All the young guys go and start off. Ralf Rangnick, look at that history. We spoke about it yesterday. He spent the first 15, 20 years of his managerial tenure looking after, series of Dritte Bundesliga and Zweite Bundesliga teams until he earned his stripes. So for Ryan to think, even if he goes and wins the next 5 games, like I saw on Twitter a lot of people saying Mason in. Sorry guys, like we can't fall for this mistake again. You need someone with a higher caliber experience, people that have done it before, and that can kind of really, I guess, inspire the fans, inspire the players. And I wish Ryan Mason every success in his managerial career, but I do not want him to learn the ropes as Tottenham's first team manager. I'm okay with it for the next 5 games, but come on. Let me know what your thoughts are, though. Are you someone who's saying Mason in? A lot of people are on Twitter this morning. It's not something I get behind. But listen, good game, interesting game. One thing I haven't mentioned yet was, I did say yesterday, it was going to be fascinating to see what the vibe was like around the atmosphere in the stadium, the atmosphere outside. Fair play to all the guys who protested. I think about 200 people, give or take. I don't know, but that's the numbers I've been shown and told were there, which is probably 3 or 4 times more than they would normally get, which I think is a great stepping stone for them. They should be proud of themselves. I hear Brian Daigle made it onto TalkSport Radio. Big up, Brian. Well done, mate. Very cool for you. Very cool for what you stand for. And I did hear pockets and kind of smutterings of Levy out chants a few times on the TV. And I saw some black balloons as well, which I gather were a Levy out protest method. So look, you definitely were heard, definitely were seen. I'd love to hear from people that were at the game, or even if you weren't, from the Levy out, people that are very much vehement Levy out. How do you feel about the fact that 200 people were there? Of 62,000 people, let's call it, 58,000 people because of the 4,000 United fans. That's probably 0.3% of the people that were there at the game were at the protest? I'm sure there was more coming and going, obviously, but is that enough? Are you more excited and inspired by the fact that there was, 3 or 4 times more than there usually are, or were you disappointed that there weren't more, considering the energy that was thrown towards Levy out on social media this week? I don't know how you guys would feel about it. I think it's a good step for all of you. Congratulations. Be proud of yourselves. You made the noise. You're getting your message across. Like I say, I'm not with you on Levy out yet. I still have different views on all those things, but I respect and appreciate everyone who wants to represent how you feel in the way that you feel fit. So good luck, guys, with it. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. And as always, bye-bye.